The title of this video is Dirty Rotten Bible Teachers Part 5. The topic is Sacred Names and the Hebrew Roots Movement. As often happens, I can't decide which false teachings to expose next. There are so many of them. And then a comment shows up on my YouTube channel, usually something from a follower of a Dirty Rotten Bible teacher. They are quick to call me a heretic and then pitch me on some lie that they have been taught. Thus the topic of this video. It addresses lies from the Hebrew Roots movement, particularly the sacred name lie. Dirty Rotten Bible teachers say that if you don't get the name right, you are worshiping a pagan god. That's pretty serious if you ask me. Having been an opera voice major in my distant past, I was required to study languages, all the principal ones used in opera. They were Italian, French, German, Spanish, and English. However, in many cases, studying these languages in their modern context did not render the correct pronunciation for operas written, for example, during the Baroque, Classic, and Romantic periods. As these languages were different in the past, still understandable by modern standards, but different in spelling and pronunciation. Now I ask these sacred name teachers, which pronunciation of their God shall I use? Should it be contemporary English or Shakespearean English? Ancient Hebrew or modern? And since Shakespearean English sounded very different than English today, if I used that pronunciation, would I be evoking the wrong God? Or are there a number of pronunciations that are acceptable? I would like to know, as I have found that depending upon which Dirty Rotten Bible teacher you consult, there are many different pronunciations for their God. In fact, they can't seem to agree amongst themselves. For example, coming up listed on the screen are some of the names used for God by the sacred name cultists. I borrowed the list from honorthesun.com. I'll not attempt to pronounce the names, but I'll give you the spelling. If you want to know how they pronounce these names, you would have to consult a Dirty Rotten Sacred Names Bible teacher. Even then, I doubt they would be able to do justice to the list. The fact is, they really don't know. Here it is. And here are some names they use for Jesus. All I can say is I hope those of you who have fallen into this error get the name right, because Dirty Rotten Bible teachers say that you will go to hell if you worship the wrong God by spelling his name wrong or saying it wrong. I wonder how much latitude there is for error. A vowel or two or three, or perhaps a consonant here or there? Maybe you're allowed a wrong accent, or confusing short and long versions of the same vowel, soft or hard consonants, and the list goes on. The sacred names movement is sheer madness. It is virtually impossible to know the correct pronunciation and spelling. Next, the Bible. Dirty Rotten Sacred Name Bible teachers say the original New Testament was written in Hebrew or Aramaic. Malarkey. There is not one shred or scrap of papyri to support that claim, and not even a hint of an historical thread. Nothing. They made it up. Still, the movement claims to have produced a Bible closer to the supposed Hebrew that doesn't exist? This is laughable. How could they possibly know if they have no Hebrew manuscripts to compare their translation to? What they do in fact is refer to Greek manuscripts which they then presume to translate into a Bible version of their liking. Or more likely, they take an existing Bible translation and change the words they don't like. That is, they make everything in the Bible agree with their made-up doctrine, a doctrine they established from their imaginations, not from the New Testament. And just for the record, no, the name Jesus is not a derivation of Zeus. The two names come from very different Greek words that have no relationship to each other whatsoever. It is such a ridiculous claim that it hardly merits dignifying with discussion. Usually Dirty Rotten Bible teachers who teach the sacred name doctrine insist upon observing Sabbaths, holy days, and festivals. I covered the errors of this in a previous video, but let it suffice to say that such practices and beliefs are not necessary for the Church of the New Testament. In fact, Scripture says you can observe such things if you like, but don't pass judgment on those who don't. It's not commanded, nor is it important. See Colossians chapter 2, verse 16. Yet they turn it into a monolithic issue upon which they say hangs your salvation. Don't believe them. It's nonsense. Your salvation depends totally upon Christ, not upon keeping Old Testament ordinances and laws, and not upon getting some arbitrary pronunciation right. You've been watching Dirty Rotten Bible Teachers Part 5, Sacred Names and the Hebrew Roots Movement. Look for Part 6 coming soon. And don't forget to check out my website at www.brokencross.org.